I've been a Pokemon fan my entire life, and with any millennial Pokemon fan desperately trying to cling on to his youth, I started the series with one of these, I think the series peaked with one of these, the downfall started here, and it hadn't really been the same since. Or at least that's what I thought 2.5 years ago when I did a tier list of every Pokemon game at the time. And considering that video was released during lockdown, where I don't think any of us were quite ourselves, and also the fact that I've replayed a bunch of the old games and some new games have come out since, I think a re-tiering is definitely called for. Bearing in mind this conversation was had before Teal Mask even came out, which is good because I have so much I need to say about the DLC, and I'm waiting for that epilogue thing that's going to come out soon. I'm waiting for that, and then we'll talk about it. Without further ado, let's start from the top with Generation 1. Gen 1, I put it in the C tier, which is just alright. Where did you put yours?
Mine was in D tier.
Any difference?
Between now and then? Not really, no.
I think both Gen 1 and 2, they're kind of products of their time. In the same way when I rank a Mario Kart track, people tend to put like the beginning circuit track in like F tier or D tier, which I think is quite unfair because it's the first track in the game, so it's supposed to be basic. So I generally have a lot more like deference to it. I feel the same way about Gen 1 and 2. They're like antiquated pieces of shit. You would never replay them even if you got paid if you're a modern Pokemon fan. But it's interesting to see where the series began, you know? That's what I think about it.
All within context.
All within context, that's what I say. So what about this is your GOAT, Luke. Your GOAT. Gen 3. I put Emerald, of course, in the Excellence, the A tier. What about yours?
Mine was originally A tier, and I'd probably keep it there.
You'd probably keep it there? I don't think there's much to say about it. I think the Battle Frontier has not been remade for some reason, and Game Freak needs to get on that quick, or I'm going to... I think this is where the fighting starts to begin. Like, Gen 4, when it comes to Platinum and HeartGold SoulSilver, I have them in the best tier possible. They are the GOATs.
I was about to call it Pokemon Giratina, because it was Giratina. Pokemon Platinum is B tier, like top end of B tier, and HeartGold and SoulSilver are S.
I remember I hounded you and I said, you have to replay Platinum. You sent me a screenshot proving you were replaying Platinum. Did you replay Platinum? I need to know!
I will bump it up to lower end A tier now. It has changed.
We did it, chat. Bullying works. Bullying works. I'm so happy about life right now. It's great. You know what? I'm going to say it, Luke. I'm going to say it. My opinion has changed.
Ooh.
The reason I put HeartGold SoulSilver in the S tier is because I'm willing to overlook the level curve and the horrible Johto distribution. And my cope was, if they fix those two things, this game would be perfect. And while I stand by that, I think having those two glaring flaws is just not enough for me anymore, I would say. I don't think it's enough for me anymore. I can't, in good conscience, with those two giant flaws, leave it in S tier. So it has been demoted to high A, and Platinum stands alone amongst the GOATs. I still think Platinum's amazing, though. But I think with those two glaring faults, I was willing to cope. I was huffing that copium. I just can't. Like, today, I don't think... I'm a lot less sympathetic now.
I think they're fair criticisms, and I would totally agree. However, I enjoy playing the game, so it's gonna be
I do. I still enjoy it. I'm supposed to justify putting HeartGold, SoulSilver, and Platinum in the same tier, the GOATs. One has a good level curve and a good Pokemon distribution. The other does not, and yet they're in the same tier. You know, it's hard to justify. The post-game is still amazing. They got the Battle Frontier straight from Platinum, of course. The post-game, they fixed a lot of the Kanto gym leaders, so they aren't useless. There's a lot of good legendaries you can get in the post-game. The rematch Elite Four is easily one of the best Elite Fours, bar none. Rematched Lance is one of my favorite battles in the entire series. His team is... Look at his team. His team is so stacked. It's unreal. I wish every game had a red. Steven obviously was in Platinum. Oh, no, sorry, not Platinum. Steven was in Emerald, and I wish every game did that sort of thing. But yeah, like I said, I think in my older age, I've stopped huffing that HeartGold SoulSilver copium.
I was just going to say, I think with the red thing, having red there as that battle, that's so hard to manufacture something like that, because you have to have this character that is such, so well loved, but then you also don't want to make it feel forced. Like, I don't know what your opinion is on it. I don't mind Cynthia being in Gen 5. Because that's probably about as similar as we get.
Oh, yeah,
but she gets pushed everywhere else to where I don't feel it the same way I do with Red on top of mine. Everyone loves her. She's great, and she is a great champion, but she is seen as the champion, and she's everywhere. To the point where if I see her again, it's like, oh, it's Cynthia, and it doesn't feel the same.
It doesn't. You don't feel something.
Really...
Oh, when Professor Oak said, "Oh, we'll give you access to the one place in the entire game you've never been," you scale the top and you see that motherfucker looking over there, and you're like, "What? That's insane." Yeah. Top 10 anime battles. Red's got to be up there, right? Surely. Let's move on to Gen 5. I put them in the high end of A tier. Both games. I like what Black and White went for, so I put Black and White over Black and White 2 because Black and White did the bold decision of not having any old Pokemon and going solely with Unova Pokemon, which I think at the time was a bold move. I still respect it for doing that, whereas I think you were the reverse, weren't you? You prefer Black 2 and White 2.
Black 2, White 2 I had, and Black and White I had in S tier.
Any of your opinions change?
I don't think so. I've really enjoyed those games, and I think they stand alone really well. I think the story's really good. I think if you get down into the deep, dirty bits of the game's lore, there's some weird sort of irony in behind the Team Plasma stuff that doesn't really stand up very well, but when has Pokemon ever been good about story? So
is it like the hypocrisy, the inherent hypocrisy behind Team Plasma and Black and White 1? Is that what you're referring to?
It's more so that than Black and White 2, because they're just straight up pirates.
Well, I quite like I think the hypocrisy adds like a lot of credence to their cause, because like they're almost like a religious cult. And just like with any religion, they have their like glaring flaws to anyone who's not part of the cult, right? They're this group that like we want to separate Pokemon and people. We want them to be free, and yet they use Pokemon to bully people into proselytizing them to their cause. You know, like I think that hypocrisy like fleshes them out way more, if you ask me.
Perhaps that works well for them, but not so for N.
I think N is like just the willful idiot in all of this. Like Getsis has perfectly crafted his life so that he's only seen the worst of humans. So I think that makes sense. Like, is there even a single scene where like N is spotted with 18 Plasma Grunt? Because I'm sure if he saw the Grunts doing what they were doing, he'd be like, okay, what the... Guys, I don't think this is very good.
The Shadow Triad in some of it?
Well, I think the Shadow Triad is like also like they're under Getsis' thumb, so like I'm sure they got the same MO. Whereas like the Plasma Grunts are just like idiots, really. Yeah. I'd actually have to relook at that. I want to see, is there a single scene where an N is spotted with a Plasma Grunt? I don't think there is. Which again would lend credence to my point, really. But I quite like that. I can see why it seems a bit odd, but I think that fleshes them out even more, if you ask me. I would personally keep him in the same spots, if you ask me. I'd say Black and White is just slightly ahead of Black 2, White 2, but I do understand, like, Black 2 and White 2 have aged a bit better because they have a better Pokemon distribution, so I can understand if you like Black 2, White 2 more, but I really like the story, the themes, and the boldness of going with just the Unovan Pokedex. I think the story is so much tighter in Black and White to the point where, like, if I wanted to play Black and White but wanted the distribution of Black 2, White 2, I would just, like, mod Black and White 1 to, like, have every Pokemon and just, like, randomize encounters, you know?
That's fair.
Anyway, so let's go to... I think this is where it gets interesting, because I have replayed Gen 6 and 7. I've yet to replay 8. So my opinions on these have changed. Spoiler alert. So I want to know if yours have had Pokemon X and Y and Oras. I put Pokemon X and Y in the worst tier imaginable. Don't even bother with these games. Yeah. Where did you put X and Y for you?
I had them D, which is the lowest I had, and same for Oras.
Oh, they were not happy with me. Why is Oras so low? But let's talk about X and Y first. X and Y, I think we're both in agreement, Luke, that it was kind of the start of like the mid-era of Pokemon, would you say? Has your opinion on that changed at all?
Definitely not with X and Y. I think there are elements of it, as with any Pokemon game, that are good. There are bits of it that I like. By me saying I don't like X and Y, it's just by Pokemon standards.
Yeah.
But there are bits within it I do like, and I will give it credit. I think I've almost shifted from this point where I've gone, I'm just going to relentlessly shit on it, because I think some people just like it, and that is what it is. People like what they like. People have their first Pokemon game to get it for Christmas. It's fine.
I think yeah. Just to add to that, I just said I'm less empathetic towards HeartGold and SoulSilver for its flaws. I'm more empathetic to X and Y as the years have gone by. Whereas before, if someone said they liked X and Y, I just like sneer at them. X and Y.
I still don't like it, but
yeah, but like I'm a lot less willing to like sneer at someone for liking this game now. I'm like way less willing. I'm well willing to just be like, oh, so like, did you get it for your birthday?
Yeah, did you get it for your Christmas? Did you get
it for your 5th birthday by any chance? That's what I'd be willing to say. The slander's still there, but it's changed. You know, I'm less like, fuck you, you grew up in the wrong generation, and more, oh, so like, what's it like still being in primary school?
What's it like being 6? No, I'm joking.
This is the last Nuzlocke I played was Pokemon X and Y. I think I was very clearly able to see exactly what they were going for. This was like the very first time where it felt like Game Freak just weren't given enough time. and I'm way more sympathetic for that now. I think Pokemon Z should have existed. It was very evident that they were making Pokemon Z with the fact that they put Zygarde, a lot of the Zygarde stuff in Sun and Moon. So I feel more sorry for this game than I do angry now. And to be fair, less on the sympathy front, Pokemon X does have an excellent Pokemon distribution, and I have to give it massive props for that. The friends are still absolute dog shit. The gym leaders are not really too interesting, unfortunately. I still really like Diantha. Lysander's gone to the point where I don't hate him because he's not N. I like him because he reminds me of Shadow the Hedgehog, so I'm a lot more sympathetic to him. Because he's just like so unbelievably like one-dimensional that I'm just like, I love him now.
I can't stand the thought of the world becoming uglier.
So because of that, I am going to give Pokemon X a rise from F tier to a D tier. I still think it's bad. I don't want to... Outside of a Nuzlocke on stream, I'm never going to replay these games. But I don't think they're the worst things on planet Earth anymore.
Yeah.
So that's my stance on Pokemon X. Anything you want to add, Luke?
I can play these games. They're just not very fun. And that's probably where I put Pokemon X and Y. I don't find the story that great, but I think it's also one of those games where they've quite clearly tried to break away from the formula quite heavily, not just with the 3D, but with the new typing, a lot of the new friendship systems. You know, they move away a little bit from like the GTS, and you have actual friends and things like that.
Also, the player search system, easily the best online system they made, and for some reason they've not topped it since. So shout out to X and Y for that. God damn.
I love the Friend Safari. The Friend Safari.
Oh, that was
great.
good. You know what? You're about to get me to like go up to Ceta. I'm just remembering all the good shit that X and Y had. Mega Evolution as well. Oh my! You know what? I fucking love Gen 6 now.
It is such a weird thing where, like, again, if it has time to bake and they put it in a better environment and a better story, this could easily be one of the best. It just falls on its face in some areas and it's so polished in others, but I think that may sum up Pokemon in general.
A lot of good ideas just not executed as well as you'd like, because you almost wish they had 6 months in the oven, and I think X and Y is just a true testament to that. You almost wish they just had a bit more dev time.
Yeah. Whatever your Pokemon game was when you're 10, 11 years old, that's your game. That is your game.
That is definitely your go.
Mine's Black and White, and that was when I was 10, and they're in my top. Whereas yours is Platinum, and it's top of yours. Whereas these guys is probably Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Sorry, I'm joking.
So what do we think about the Oras question? I put it in D tier. Where did you put it?
Yeah, mine was in D as well.
So for you, that's the bottom of your tier list, just to clarify.
It was at the time, not in the new one, but at the time, yeah, that was bottom.
That was the lowest rank you could have given it. Opinion. Let's go with you first. Have you changed your opinion?
It's so much like X and Y, where I'm like, I love bits of this, and there are some bits I just really, really like, and then there's just other bits where I'm just like, this feels hollow compared to the original experience. And it's such a weird one because my first games was Emerald.
So you were really hoping that this remake would have like knocked out the park for you.
Yeah, and do you know what? Much like other Pokemon games, I had fun playing it, but that's not to say that I'd sit there and go, "Oh, that it has like everything that I wanted."
Yeah.
It's such a weird mix of stuff that I really, really enjoy, and then other bits where I'm like, "Oh, this just doesn't really just hit the spot." Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I think this is. I think this game is just a victim of being remade at the wrong time, really. Because if this remake was given like the same time and quality and attention as like HeartGold SoulSilver, this would have been like phenomenal, right? With Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, I've also softened up a bit. I think I see more of the good than the bad. I think the extra editions of Mega Evolution was like a really nice touch. I think the soaring in the sky of Latios was just like a nice bit of extra charm. You could like find those like secret islands and look for all those legendary Pokemon. That was really cool. The extra characterization, they gave a lot of characters like May and like Steven to a degree, and like the evil team leaders as well, I think was really, really good. I really, really like that sort of thing. But it really just comes down to the fact that every time I replay this game, I'm just like, I would rather just replay Emerald. This game is literally a victim of my upbringing. Like, I would like to believe, I'm not, I'm just like every other Pokemon. I would like to believe I'm rating these without like the rose tint necessarily, right? Obviously, I have my biases, but I like to think I'm taking them off and seeing the games for what they are. When it comes to Oras, I feel like that's impossible because I'm always putting up to the pedestal of Pokemon Emerald. As cool as some of the things they've added, again, the soaring in the sky, the extra characterization, the Dex Nav. The Dex Nav is fucking sick, by the way. Let's not ignore that. That was unironically one of the best things they've added. And just like with every Pokemon game, what do they do one game aside?
Bye-bye.
They completely removed it. Like, is Zinnia a good post-game? Sure. But I'd rather just play the Battle Dome, or the Battle Pyramid, or the Battle Factory, or the Battle
You've got to
Pike.
get through the whole game to get to Zinnia, and it's like, at that point, you know, what's the point in getting through the whole game just to go, oh, here's this one character that's different in this one storyline? It's not really worth it. Even though she's good, I really like Zinnia's storyline.
I have put Ruby and Sapphire in C and Oras in D. I think I'd rather play Oras over regular RS, to be fair. So I think, do you know what? I think 2.5 years ago, I think we said it. We were just on the maximum slander train, weren't we?
Yeah.
I think you know what? I'll do it. I'll swap those two because I would rather play Oras over Ruby and Sapphire. Oras is good. I just, again, as I said, 99% of the time, I'd rather play Emerald. Have you got anything else to add?
No, other than I've moved it above that as well, but I did that before you even did it, so it's not even a hive mind thing.
It's so true. All right, fair enough. So let's move on to the next gen, which is Gen 7.
Oh, baby.
What do we think? Again, the young'uns in the chat are going to be at our throats. Maybe with this one. What do we think, Jen? Let's quickly. I love Gen 7. The FT is absolutely awful. Best Gen 7's great. Don't hurt my feelings, please. See that? Well, we're dealing with the turbo zoomers here, Luke.
Hello, fellow kids. I had them in B. I had both of them.
You had him in B. Oh shit! I forgot you had him that high. What, both of them?
I unironically like them.
Damn. Okay. So you know what? I think let me talk first. Then this has my opinion changed. So I've played what's it, an Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon Nuzlocke, and I think one of the mistakes I made when I made this tier list is I didn't realize. Do you know what? As much as I complain about X and Y being baby, Sun and Moon actually isn't.
Yeah.
I really respect the difficulty in this game and what they did in terms of the totems. I think the totems. Some people weren't a fan of it, they would rather just gym leaders. But having replayed it, I really love the totems. The totems were such a cool idea, don't you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think what's good though is that because they give him a trial captain, you can still characterize someone similar to a gym leader without it being them, if that makes sense.
Yeah. In terms of like the actual game itself, when you're actually playing it, I really like it. I think the Pokemon distributions get a lot of the Gen 7 Pokemon as well. I love a lot of them. I love a lot of the Gen 7 Pokemon. Regional variants, they made regional variants, even though in Gen 7 it was all just Kanto Pokemon, which I guess thematically made sense as Kanto's close to Alola, but this is one where I could say I'm a changed man. Z moves, casually, Z moves are the least interesting. In battle is the best mechanic, 100%. 100%. Megas are fun, like seeing a new design. I think Z moves involve a lot more of your brain, and I love them. I love them for that. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Z moves are one of those things where they're not really that amazing in terms of like, if you look at them, you go, oh, it's just this thing that I can slap on anyone, and it's pretty generic, bar the signature ones. But it's so open compared to Megas.
Yeah.
Because I think the Megas are great, but it limits the pool so much. Do you know what? I think out of all of the mechanics they've done, I don't know if that's a controversial take, but I think it might be the best all-round one that they've done.
I think it is a little controversial because a lot of people are Mega pilled, which is understandable. Like, I love Megas and the designs they give from new Mega Pokemon. I think Megas are the most fun. I think we can't ignore the giant elephant in the room, or should we say the giant cutscene in the room?
Yeah.
I think I must have said it before, and I'll say it again. Unless it's Guzma talking or anything Team Skull related, maybe Kukui, maybe Gladion, I don't care. I really don't care. I just don't care, Luke. I don't know about you. I just don't fucking care.
Fair. I think the only way that you will love this game is if you enjoy the characterization of Lily, and you see things through the lens of Lily.
I just don't care about her. That probably explains it, doesn't it?
That's completely fair, but like with the story, you've got her who's almost been like completely sent away, doesn't like Pokemon at all, really, and then has to protect this other thing that's sort of almost been sent away to some degree from a completely different land, and then you've got the whole thing around her mum and obviously Gladion as well. I think unless you like Lily and you see things through her perspective, you will not like the story. If you do, and you actually do sit there and go, okay, I actually feel emotionally invested into this, and you see, I think one of my favourite things from a Pokemon game is the end of Sun and Moon, where it's her with, on my game it was Solgaleo, it would be Lunala in Moon, and you see that picture of them together, it's like, that bit choked me up. And Pokemon games don't often do that to me, but yeah, I think unless you care for Lily as a character, I don't think you'll care about the story, other than Team Skull.
Damn, choked you up, Luke. Really?
Yeah, I really enjoyed their story. Yeah, that's why I had
good. That good, really?
I liked it.
You sure you're like 20 and you're not like 12? Like what's going on there, brother? I think Lily's a fine character, but I just didn't. Gladion was way too edgelord, and Lily just felt way too useless. I just didn't care enough. Maybe it's because like a lot of the characterization she gets is just in fucking bullshit dialogue instead of the gameplay. At least with N, right? One of the coolest things about N is the fact that he uses a different team every time. I don't know if you ever noticed that, but he does that because he's that good at befriending Pokemon that he just manages to find a different team every time. He's so committed to his philosophy of Pokemon and people being free that he will use them, like he will like call upon them as friends in a battle. Because, you know, he knows that in this world, that's how people, like, communicate. And then once he's done, he'd be like, okay, guys, thanks for the help. Appreciate it. Enjoy your life, you know? I much prefer that sort of characterization than just, oh, get in the bag, Nebby. Oh, Nebby, you silly goose. I'm just like, okay.
Yeah, it's one of those things where Pokemon is really funny with when it uses show don't tell within stories.
Yes.
So show don't tell with N was that with it's Hop, isn't it, in Sword and Shield, when he keeps changing his team a bit like, you know, trying to emulate his brother Leon, even though he doesn't necessarily tell you that he's struggling. You know,
yes, that's cool. I like that. See, I like it when they do it with the gameplay, but like when it's just cutscenes, there's been a horrible accusation made about me in the chat. All I'm getting from this Lily debate is autism Luke versus ADHD Mustache. Listen, I played these games day one when they first came out and I was fully invested in the story, and when I left I'm just like, I don't get... Bruv, Lily goes into like a fucking, like her Alolan form, whatever it is, and it's just her without a dress anymore, and then she does nothing. She does nothing for the rest of the game. Please, why didn't she do something? Anything. Musty needs Subway servers. Could you stop slandering me in the live chat, please? What are you doing, Luke? You're here!
Her changing that form is that they're showing and telling, I suppose. They're trying to do both.
I meme about that, but like that was a cool scene, but I wish like more came of it, you know? One cool thing that happened at the end when she went to confront her mother, she actually beat her in the battle, but then she gets so pissed, she's like, how did I lose to you little shit? And like she's about to just like backhand her, and you're like, what? Hey, you can't do that. You can't hit kids anymore.
Oh damn.
Yeah, did you not get the memo?
No, sorry, I've just been hitting random children. I would agree, but then I think the issue is they did exactly that in Sword and Shield, spoiler alerts, with Leon taking down some of the Gigantamax Pokemon, or the Dynamax Pokemon, and everyone was like, why do you get to do none of it?
No, I like that! I don't get people said that, I like that! He's shown to be competent, and it's not just all about you!
But there were some babies that didn't like it.
Yeah, no, I like that! We still got a hero moment, but so did Leon! I like that! But if Lily went into her Alolan form, I would like if she did something, you know? Is it wrong of me, Luke, to want my characterization in gameplay instead of in cutscenes that I don't care about? Is that wrong? Is that so wrong?
Not necessarily, no. But that's also not why I don't have it as an S tier. You know, I have it B, which is like, it's pretty good, and I really enjoyed it. That's where I've got it. It would do a lot more of what we've said to get it up there. But this is also me just discussing Sun and Moon. We've not even touched on. We've touched a little bit on Ultra Sun and Moon, but
Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon I like the more fun on a gameplay perspective. This is Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon fulfill my ADHD, right? Because you get to battle like this fucking cool ass. Oh, Ultra Necrozma, one of the best like boss Pokemon you fight in the series. He's insane. Like, did he roll you the first time you fought you just like he rolled everyone?
I didn't, but I had to do some horrible stalling revive tactics.
Oh yeah, he either rolled you or you had to like stall and revive a bunch to like fucking beat him.
It was horrible, and the theme for him is so awesome, but also really horrible to listen to because they've got the organ. And it's like, holy shit, am I going to die? Best boss Pokemon in the series, but like it comes at the expense of Lucamine's entire characterization. Because I think the whole point of Sun and Moon is that like she was evil. She was the bitch witch, as Spongy would put it. And then like in Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, she isn't? Like, what do you mean? I thought she was a more compelling character when she was evil. Yeah, they made a mistake. I was thinking about this earlier on, actually. I think they made a bad mistake by trying to make the base game a slightly different version of the first game, when what they should have done is made it a completely different version or a sequel. Because, in my opinion, what I really enjoy is the post game with Team Rainbow Rocket is excellent. If they did that as the full enemy of
That's cool.
of the game. I would have loved that, but they didn't, and it's like... Ugh.
With all that being said, with all the slander and the praise you've given it, I do think D tier is a bit mean. I do think it's a bit mean, so I'm gonna raise it. It's gonna go up a tier, gamers. I'm gonna put it at C. It's all right. I think for the horrible characterization of Lusamine, I'll shift the Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon up to a... No, I'll shift up to a C as well, actually. I think the Ultra and for Ultra and Cosmo, I'll shift it up as well. I don't think they're F. They're definitely not F tier. I think that is harsh. I've said this before. If there's a mod that just lets me mash, like, if I press start instantly, like, just get rid of everything, I'd put these, like, I'm not even joking. I'd put these up in S, Luke.
There was a mod that had Family Guy funny moments on the side.
Okay, shut the you stole that from the chat, firstly, right? Alfonso said that. Fuck you. And secondly, don't put my... You're bullying me for my mental illness, alright? That's not fun. Or is it Gen 8? Is it Sword and Shield? I put this in the king of C tier. It was like as alright gets. It's probably been overused, I would say, the whole missing adjective meme, but I think it certainly is the Pokemon game of all time. Would you agree, Luke? Where did you put it initially?
I had it C tier.
Has it changed?
No, I'm gonna keep it C tier.
Yeah, there's just this is like Gen 6 and 7 were interesting because I've replayed both of those. I think this is. I haven't replayed Sword and Shield. I probably should, so I could probably have a bit more of a refined take on it. I still think that it's just okay. I think the Pokemon distribution is okay. I think some of the new designs are pretty good. Some of them are okay. I think that some of the characters are cool. Others are just okay. I still think the world building of how they set up the gimmick, like the premise of Sword and Shield, is the best in the entire series. In that there's like 100 people that get invitations to try the gym challenge. The gym leaders all like fight them like each other to see which order they're gonna be in. You get an invitation to challenge them, and it's this big spectacle in a giant fucking stadium. I really like that. I think it's probably the best like setup to like the world building of all of it. I think it's I don't think even Gen 9 has beaten it. I think it's fantastic, and I don't think any game's gonna top it for it. I just really love the way they like the premise of the game when it starts. What do you think?
It's one of those ones where for me, I'm always gonna have to see it through rose-tinted glasses to some degree because I've always wanted one set in England or the
British.
UK. Ish. Since I was a kid, I'd say this is probably the most invested I've been in gyms ever in Pokemon. I think so, because there's a lot of times where you sit there and go, is the old formula sort of a bit stale, and they obviously changed it a bit in Gen 7, and I'm all for that. With this, it felt a lot better. You know, they had from the crowd cheering in the actual game itself to it feeling like it's a spectacle in a big stadium. Wild area as well. You can say what you want about the wild area, but they're like, yo, it's there, and you're on the train, and then you get off, and it's like, oh, you know, I can just run around this place, even though they only let
even like SV might have like refined it, but like the first time we went into that wild area, like it was really fun to just be able to be like, what the, I could just like run around. What the hell?
Yeah,
it's crazy. And then I think I want to see a lot of people's Let's Plays, because when you get that off that first train, there's an Onyx to your left that's like way higher level than you. And I want to, I want to see how many people on the side are like, oh, there's an Onyx here. Let me get. Okay, let's get at it. So I think the wild area when you first like stumbled upon it was really cool. In retrospect, with the other two games that we're going to discuss shortly, I think it's not aged as well, but it's still really fun when it came out.
It's like everything we're going to discuss here. It has its issues, of course. The graphics could definitely be better.
The trees! Look, the trees! The trees!
I hate far more refined in Scarlet and Violet. I saw someone in the chat say something about it's not a great open world. It isn't, but it's the first of its kind. So it's almost the same context you have to use for Gen 1 when you're talking about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
The first time they've done anything. They've tried to merge the root thing with the open world thing. The gimmick, Dynamax is pretty decent, I think. It probably takes the best of both worlds with Z moves and Megas and sort of puts it together. They're
definitely not like the most refined, like most compelling group. They're hot Marnie, but they're way better than the 4 you got in fucking X and Y. Right? I think I'm still gonna leave it here. It hasn't got enough to like bump it up. I can maybe see it, maybe seeing it going up here if I replay and I really like it. But if I'm being honest, it will probably either stay here or like go down within the same tier, I would say. But I'll leave it there for now, and replaying it, I'll adjust it accordingly. Let's go to the other Gen 8 game. You have two sides, right? You're either someone who accepts that Pokemon is a baby game. You're like, you know what? For a baby game, I actually had a bit of fun with this. And then there's those, what the hell? They've babyfied my baby game. I'll never forgive Game Freak for this. At first, I'm not gonna lie, I'll put my hand up. I was the latter. I was one of those, they babyfied my already baby game. Now you've made me feel like a 5-year-old instead of a 10-year-old. All right, what the fuck is wrong with you? But as the game went on, that little fucking piece of shit Eevee grew on me. It fucking grew on me. I named him Litty, as in lit space E, that's his rap name. That little fucking litty motherfucker grew on me. I swear to you, I don't know how they did it. I don't know how they did it. He fucking grew on me, and I love that Eevee. I'd kill for that Eevee, I would. For what it was, I really enjoyed it. What about you? I put it in B tier. Where did you put it originally?
I originally had it top of C. I've since moved it to B.
Ooh, what made you change your mind?
I've been thinking more on it, and it's like, I think out of all of these, I think it might be one of the games that has the best replayability. Just restarting the game and going, do you know what? I'm just going to play this again.
Yeah.
And it's quite easy to pick up, put down. It's probably one of the instances where I quite like the smaller, chibi-looking characters compared to He Who Shall Not Be Named down the bottom. I like some of the little stuff that they've put sort of around it, like with shiny hunting, like the master trainers. Not that I ever really did any of those, but
I did a couple and I realized, holy shit, this is crazy, and then I gave up.
And I know it's just Gem 1 remade, but it probably is, in my opinion, the best way to play Gem 1.
I would agree. And I do have to give Pokemon Let's Go the award. The piece of dialogue in any Pokemon game that's actually audibly made me laugh out loud. When you beat the game and you step outside, like your character looks up at the sky and then like there's a text that says, you can feel the world expanding around you. And there's some youngster enters stage right and says, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off while your world was expanding, but the professor was talking. I was like,
I remember that. That's so good.
I thought that was really funny. I'm going to keep it in B though. It's not going to move for me. Low B is about right. I think it's the definitive way to play Gen 1 right now. Gen 8 was just so like, no, I'm just like, you know what? Maybe these games just aren't for me anymore. At the time, I was very doomer. Was Pokemon Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl the remake to rejuvenate my love for the series?
You loved it. You said that they're the best games I've ever made. Esther.
You know what? You got me. You got me. I'm going to say a true statement about this game. And it's going to have the words I love in it. I loved Nuzlocking my first playthrough on stream. Again! Do it again! Oh, okay, we'll do it again! She does it again! Yes! I love you, Spicy! You beauty! Confuse the bitch! One more self-hit and we win! That's it! The power of friendship is going to win this! Oh my god! Please! Please! Please, come on. Oh my fucking god. Oh! Get you The power of friendship wins today! Let's fucking go! It was actually really fun to stream it. As a game though? Whoa. Let's talk about the positives first though, Luke. So what would you say was good? The Grand Underground?
I loved the Grand Underground.
The Grand Underground, right? Yo, wasn't that cool?
I actually spent probably half of my playtime in the Grand Underground.
Same. So was there any other goods, chat, that we're forgetting? Is there any other goods we're forgetting? Or because that's all I remember, if I'm being honest. Also, there's one other point. The Elite Four was surprisingly tough. Flint especially. Flint had like a comp-ready team. Do you remember? The Elite Four and the Gym Leader rematches were cracked. But then again, that just begs the question. If they were willing to change up the game for the Elite Four and the Gym Leader rematches, why didn't they change the original game as a whole? Why didn't they just go off the Platinum map instead of the Diamond and Pearl one? Why did they do that, Luke? Can you explain it to me?
Because they didn't want me to have an enjoyable run of it.
True.
They didn't want us to all enjoy Diamond and Pearl.
You know what we wanted when it came to a remake. You knew what we wanted.
Probably out of all of the games that exist, this is the one where I'm willing to go two-footed into it. I fucking hate this game. I know that this bit is contentious. It always is. I don't like the art style. That's fair enough. Some people do. I'm not going to get into that. I didn't like it. I hate they didn't make any changes to any of the gym leaders or anything. So they've all got the same stupid teams where you're sitting there and going, why has Flint still got a Drifblim? We've got other Pokemon that exist now. Why? You know, with Arceus, you're sitting there and saying, well, I'd rather play Emerald. It's the exact same with Platinum, except it's just miles clear Platinum.
Tabiyoshi brings up a good point though. People look at it for what it is, for what it isn't instead of what it is. I would say that'd be a fair argument if we weren't talking about a literal remake.
There's literally already a better version of them that you can base it off of. But I also don't even know what Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl are. Like, can you tell me what they are other than just soulless chibi remakes?
Ooh. Damn. I'm going to put it in the very, very bottom of D. It was genuinely one of those fun things I've ever streamed. Horrible Pokemon games, though. So, yeah. Inky said, it makes DP playable, and that is a very low bar, and it barely cleared that bar. So, and I think it's fair to say at this point, we were like fucking, we were in the mud, right, Luke? 4 losses at home on the trot. The manager's staring a sacking in the face. We're going up against our rivals on home turf the next game week. The fans want us out. They're chanting at the stadium. We need to make a big recovery. And then Pokemon Legends Arceus comes along. I'm going to start off the tone of this conversation, Luke. This is probably the most fun I've had playing a Pokemon game in my adult life ever. Because if you ask me, one of the things I love about Pokemon is going into a grassy patch and not knowing what I'm going to find. And Pokemon Legends Arceus embodies that to a T. I would say the only valid reason you would have to say you don't like this game is if battling is a very important aspect to you in Pokemon series. If it is, fair. That's actually fair, because that's the same reason Ozzy, my brother, he won't buy it. I love the catching. I love the collecting. I love the research tasks. The story was pretty solid. Nothing to write home about, but solid as well. So you actually, I actually gave somewhat of a shit about the characters. Going into, old Sinnoh as well. What a fucking setting to base the game off of. You have to actually collect everything in order to beat the game proper. I absolutely adore Pokemon Legends Arceus, and I think it's the game that gave me Jope. It gave me Jope for the rest of the series. What do you think?
I love these games. It's really difficult to know how to judge it against other games because it's so different. I genuinely think it's in the conversation for, is this the best Pokemon game ever made? But it's difficult because it's so different.
Yes, for
sure.
Well,
there's no battling, there's not an Elite Four or anything like that to be able to compare it to. But in terms of just having fun playing a Pokemon game, I adored this game.
Yes.
And I'm not even someone that likes going out of my way to do other stuff. I'd normally.
But you did it anyway because it was just that much fun, right?
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. That's crazy, isn't it? I beat every side quest in the game, Luke. Every side quest. Yeah. I got every Pokemon to level 10, right? I collected every single Pokemon in that game. I even, to this day, every now and again, I'll go back and try and do mass outbreaks and try and shiny hunt. Because I just want to play that game again. Because I just fucking love how it plays. And then, let's not forget, Luke. Let's not forget. Spoiler warning, I suppose. But I'm going to spoil, the ending. I think it's very important that if you haven't played it, you don't let me spoil this for you. 3 fights in a row on one set of health bars.
I don't think anything will top beating Giratina the first time. And then, he sort of takes that little hit backwards and it sort of, slows down that train noise. Then...
And then the fucking theme hits, and then oh my lord, that was incredible. I wasn't expecting that. If you're someone, the catching and collecting is a big aspect for you, like it is for me. I think it's fair to say I'm putting in S tier, Luke. I'm putting in S tier along with Platinum.
I think that's completely fair, and I think even though these are separate games from the original Sinnoh ones, they still take enough from them with the ancestors of other people and things like that, but also make it something very nice and refreshing and completely new. And the mechanics are nice and challenging, but not too difficult either. The whole thing is absolutely brilliant. And
it is.
Yeah, I absolutely loved it, and it's in my S tier as well. I don't know where to put it. I actually don't know where to put it in S tier. I'm going to put it at the bottom for now, but...
I'm not going to lie, after so long in Legends Arceus, catching feels so slow in Scarlet and Violet. Yeah, I wish they, kept the exact same catching mechanics in Scarlet and Violet, but some people have interacted, they said they couldn't get into it due to the semi-grindy nature of catching and aspect to get into new areas, and I could see that. I think I love the catching so much, I didn't really consider it grinding. Maybe it's grindy, but you're asking the wrong guy if you're going to ask me. I don't know, because I just love the game so much. I wanted every inch of content from that game, and I wish they made a bit more. And I really hope they got another game in the series in the works, like Legends, Unova, or Johto. I think those 2 settings would be amazing.
The mini bosses, the frenzied Pokemon. What did you make of those?
Those were okay. That's kind of it. I like the fact that they went for something different when it came to boss battles, but they were okay. That's all I can say about that. They were fun. They were fun enough, but those definitely aren't the thing I'm going to remember Legends Arceus for in 5 years' time. You know.
No, that's fair, yeah. The other question I've got is, what do you think of the other versions of Palkia Dialga? Because I personally actually really don't like them, but...
Oh, no?
I think they look awful.
I think, they're trying to imitate God himself, and that's a sin. And that's why we must destroy them.
Possibly, but it wasn't that him that created them to look like that.
Let's move on to Gen 9.
Fair.
The year of our Lord 2023, the current day. The DLC hasn't come out yet, so we're basing this on the base game. But Luke, what did you think about Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet?
I think it's very similar to Sword and Shield in terms of the faults it has. I think people will turn around and say, this game isn't polished, it's not finished, and I think they are all completely fair.
Yep, absolutely.
I also think that the games are still good games, and I think that they still stand up as they are. And it's really difficult in this day and age to find a Pokemon game that won't divide opinion that way, bar maybe Legends Arceus, which quite a few people liked. But I think the rest of the mainline games that are, still focused on what the actual mainline sort of themes are, I think they're always going to be a little bit unpolished now. Which is,
like with X and Y, you could see what they were going for, but the flaws were just too glaring to put it to really rate this game. Whereas Scarlet and Violet, the flaws are glaring, just like with X and Y. But what you get when you look past them is phenomenal, right? Is that fair? Is that fair to say?
I think that's fair. Yeah, I definitely think these games were really fun. Like genuinely up there as some of the most fun that I've had playing Pokemon games again. But
yes. Definitely. Yeah. So obviously there's 3 aspects to it. The gym challenge. I thought the mini games you had to play beforehand were a bit weird, but I feel like they kind of grew on me in a way because they were a bit charming. They're charming in their own really weird ways. Terrestrialization as a gimmick. What do you think about that?
As a whole, I don't mind it. The design I'm not a huge fan of because I think the hats are a bit goofy at times. I think we could probably all pretty much agree with that.
Yeah, a little bit.
But I think it's another one of those things where they've tried to do a gimmick that sort of can suit everyone, but then there's also, ones that quite clearly benefit from it more than others. It's a pretty fun way of shaking up competitive Pokemon. Its use in the game and in story, it's not really that greatly used. I don't think they don't really sort of explain any of it, what it is. They're like, we just sort of
it's just kind of a thing you do, so
other than people maybe being a bit stupid in raids, it's not too bad. I quite like it.
If you got too much Iron Hands, trauma, is that what it is?
Yeah, people just don't have brains.
Yeah, that's just real. That's just real and true. Arvin, is that his name?
Oh, Arvin, yeah.
Arvin, yes. What do you think of his story arc?
Arvin's story arc is probably one of the best they've done in Pokemon and executed well, but it only comes together at the end.
Obviously.
Which is fine, yeah. But in terms of an idea, him as a character, you sort of go from, who is this guy? I don't really like him, don't necessarily trust him, to going towards I actually really like him, and I want to be on a team with him, and I want him to do well.
Yeah.
And the whole execution of his story is fantastic, and I'd argue that it's on par, if not better than N's story in Black and White.
That's a bold claim, but I would be inclined to agree with the comparison, because I think Arvin's characterization is really cool. Hasta la vista, Luke. Hasta la vista. Wasn't that really funny the first time you heard that? Oh my god, hasta la vista. I really like the concept. I just thought Penny was kind of mid, if I'm being honest. But I do like the characterization of it. These were kids that all got bullied. So there's I don't come into school tomorrow. I'm not coming into school tomorrow because I'm building a base with blackjack and hookers, and you can't stop me, and I'm the best, and I'm going to make a giant fuck-off car for no reason. I'm just all right, mate, calm down. You got bullied a bit. No need to fucking build a giant car. I like the Team Star arc, battling them, going into their bases, fighting their genetically modified cars, as a kind of, I think it was a bit more compelling than the Titan battles, I would say. Penny herself was just kind of
do you know what? It's one of those ones that it's a nice idea that they've executed well. The twist is pretty nice, if not a little bit predictable, but it's not out of the ordinary. It's nice. I like the story. I'm not going to rant and rave about it the same way I will with Arvin.
Yeah.
But it's okay, and you know what? I like it, but without it causing too much chaos and me going, I love it. It's fine. It
was good.
I liked it.
Yeah, it was good. I Penny herself was just kind of. But the story itself was good. I liked it. And then it all comes together in probably the most wacky ending. Squads that you get a Fortnite squad together to go into Area Zero. Now, Pat, if I gotta say, seeing that big crater in the middle of the map was probably one of the best forms of building something up. Because people mention Area Zero, but and you can't help but notice it. There's this big fuck off gap in the middle of the map. What's in there? And then finally at the very end, you're okay, let's go into this spot. And then you're just whoa, what's going on here? This is crazy. Jesus, I can't believe this. And then like you're just running and you're having a chat, you're chatting with all your friends and you're going down this fucking crazy area that no one's allowed to be in. Spoilers, by the way, spoiler discussion now. I'd recommend you don't, because once you get to Area Zero, the story gets so bonkers. Cool, it's the Professor. Like, we all love the Professor, right? In every game, you're like, oh, the Professor's like a chill guy. This game is like, oh, no, I abandoned my son to do research. So, yeah, that's kind of cool. Let's go talk to mom or dad. Like, this is getting ridiculous, right? You gotta raise your son instead of being a fucking researcher Andy, and you fucking nerd, right?
Like, they do a lot of things where Arvin sort of hints at knowing stuff. He knows who the legendary Pokemon is when you've got it at the start. Gets to this bit where you're like, they're either a shitty parent or something's really off, because there were times where, like, they're just telling you to do stuff and it's like, well, they're stuck in Area Zero, but not really sure why, but they're making me do their thing for them. And do you know what? That makes you sit there and think, okay, something's not quite right, but the Professor's like the Professor. You know, what Pokemon does really well, I think, is it has a lot of stuff that you're so used to it being that they will then just subvert occasionally.
Yes.
Yeah, they did that well in terms of you don't really see much of the Professor, but they're there in the background. If anything, the Professor's more like Clavel is more of the Professor than
yeah. You got this. You see these fucking Pokemon you've never seen before. Again, I love the fact that they were willing to restrict a bunch of like the cool Pokemon designs behind like the end game. You know, it's like, what the hell are all these Pokemon? Where's this place?
I don't think I've seen anything like that in a while. Like, in terms of the build up to Area Zero is fantastic. When you go down, everything being daylight and there being clouds above is obviously a bit odd. But then you've got the really weird Pokemon. The music is insane. I know we're not going to talk about OST properly, but that gave me chills.
It did. It was really good. It was really, really good.
You're like, this place is just completely different and it just feels eerie. So they start obviously drip feeding you some of the Paradox Pokemon, which is great. You're going through like those little outhouses, aren't you?
Yeah, the research centers, yeah. And then you find out like progressively, like each research center is just like more and more decrepit than the last. So you're just like, what? Like, I don't know why they put like every single bit of they put their whole fucking Game Freak into that final bit. Like just the build up, the intrigue. You almost wish they like did this the whole fucking game. It'd be Game of the Year.
It gets really good when you start to get down towards the bottom. You're like, well, something's here. And if I'm not wrong, I think, you know, the second version of the box.
Yes, the second version of your guy, the alpha one. You know, and then your one's like, I'm scared. Which is why that one hides in its Pokeball for most of it, because it knows it's there.
Yeah, that's really good writing as
That's
well.
really good as well.
Even if it's a bit like power of friendship stuff at the end, I don't mind it because it does it okay.
Yeah.
But if I'm not wrong, I think that second legendary, that might be the thing that killed the Professor. I could be wrong.
I think so. I don't know if that's implied or like something like that, but I think that's probably something like that, right?
But if I'm not wrong, that is now if that is confirmed, that is now the first Pokemon that we know has a body count, because all the other ones are just implied, like Kyurem and Mewtwo and stuff like that. They sort of sit there and go, there's, you know, they might have, and that, you know, it's rumoured, but this thing might be the first one where like, oh, this thing's actually killed someone.
You find the Professor's been dead for a while, and like, was it a robot version of them was like left in their stead? And that fucking final battle where like the Robo Professor's like, I know what I need to do, but like his program is being overwritten. Not only is it like the setup just insane, but you're battling a bunch of Pokemon that you like. I don't think you're able to catch them. Like, if I remember, so were you able to catch them before you beat Area? I don't think you were, right? If you didn't battle them and figure out like, okay, what type can I use with it? You went into this battle completely blind, like in terms of type matchups and not knowing what you're doing. So this battle had the opportunity to be really, really tense. And considering like nowadays, I play Pokemon under the rule of I can only use as many healing items as my opponent does, which is generally 2. That was like one of the most intense battles in the series for me. I love that. Like, in every post-game, imagine going to him, oh, Mom, yeah, I beat the gym challenge and I became the champion. Oh, I fought these eco-terrorists along the way. Oh, that's nice, Brendan. That's very cool. Spikeball for dinner. Imagine trying to explain to your mom what the fuck just happened down there. Brad's reaction to all of that was probably my favorite thing, because like he kept like live posting about it when he was doing the Area Zero bit, and like I remember like, he posted an image of like the Professor. He was like, "What the hell is going on?" And I'm just like, I don't know neither. So even Brad was like, someone who's like never played a Pokemon game before was just like, okay, this is bonkers. This is bonkers and a half. If you're gonna insist I care about your story, make it fucking bonkers. You know, make it crazy.
Do we want to mention or talk about the Paradox Pokemon? Like, I really like most of them, and I think they're a really cool way of doing it, and I'm intrigued to see what happens with them in the DLC. I'm really excited for the DLC, because if they talk more about what they are, because we don't even know technically what they are, That could be really interesting.
It could be really interesting, and I can't wait to see it. The Paradox Pokemon are such a cool like gimmick, and I loved it so much. With all the highs that Pokemon gives you, there's a couple of glaring faults. I think one of them has to be, and this is completely in the same way that if you told me I don't really like Legends Arceus because I like the battling, I'd be like, you're not fair. I'm not going to argue with that because there's nothing to argue. Like we just like Pokemon for different things. If you told me I really hate Scarlet and Violet because it sells itself as an open world game, and yet there's an intended order.
Yeah.
That is just, I don't know what Game Freak, like this is one of those cases where you need these 6 more months in the oven to like scale everything to like, so you could actually truly like go out and do what you wanted, because that's just, I guess like the fact that the gym leaders don't really use the gimmick as effectively as you'd like. I know, baby game, we know. But like the fact that like, it almost feels like Iono used terrestrialization effectively by accident, right? It almost feels that way.
Just in general, the games are good, and I'm excited to see how we judge them off the back of the new DLC, because I think that it could really top it off if they give a good reason behind terrestrialization and the Paradox Pokemon. I think if they give a good reason behind both of them, I think we could be in for some really, really good games if they're not already. It just lacks polish.
Really does. Yeah, the bugs, the frame rate issues, which personally didn't affect my enjoyment. If you told me it really put you off, again, I'm not going to argue with you. That's just true. You're just speaking facts, really. Hopefully, I don't know if someone's made like a direct comparison between the launch version and now. Maybe it's more stable. I don't know, but yeah, in my playthrough though, I only experienced one bug, and that was like when I tried to jump with like Koraidon. I tried to hit the floor, but instead I just like kept it. I was in like the free fall animation, and then it just like it faded to black, and then it like just put me down regularly. So that happened once, and I was like, okay, that was weird. But other than that, I didn't experience any bugs. The frame rate, yeah, obviously when you get to, is it Levensia, the town with Iono, the city with Iono? The frames were just awful on that city as a whole. I avoided that like the plague. When I was done with that, I'm like, I'm fucking out of here. That was awful, but other than that, I didn't experience too many problems. Obviously, if we're going to talk about the downsides though, there's almost one I missed. There's almost the glaring one we missed, Luke. And that's the...
Which one?
Geeta.
Geeta, yeah.
The worst champion ever made. Is that fair to say?
I think that's completely fair. Just rearrange her team and
that's the part that annoys me. Just rearrange it. She has a good team. Just rearrange it. The only one I would say doesn't deserve to be there is fucking probably Go-Go. Like, what are we doing with Go-Go? You're gonna have a grass type, and it's gonna be Go-Go. It's to the point where like people are like retconning her. She doesn't count as a champion because Nemona's the real champion. If we're being technical, if I'm gonna be a nerd emoji Andy, Geeta's technically the champion. Where ultimately are you gonna leave it? I know I'm gonna put it. Where are you gonna put it?
I've put it B.
Ooh,
because
really?
I've got Sword and Shield C, and I think it's a far better, more polished version of that, but I don't think it quite touches the likes of Platinum Emeralds, Legends Arceus, all of those in like S and A. I still think it's a very good game.
Sorry, just to clarify, I got your tier list. Where did you put it? Would you say in B, right? So
I put it probably above Let's Go.
Above Let's Go. So yeah, it's like it's the best of the modern Pokemon games, but it doesn't hold a candle to the classic era. Would you say the golden era, so to speak?
Yeah.
I think it just about beats Emerald for me.
Ooh, okay.
Just about, but like yeah, if we're talking Black 2, White 2, Black and White, HeartGold, SoulSilver, Legends Arceus, and Platinum, it doesn't quite go there. But I just had so much fun playing this game. Like, is it the best? No. Am I gonna replay it? I don't know. But I played it once. I'll play it again, I'm sure. But I have so many fond memories of that game already, you know. And we haven't even done the DLC yet. Maybe the DLC will make it a bit better or complete the package. Legends Arceus was great, but like it was so fun being able to have like a proper main series, like standard Pokemon formula game. That was just really, really, really fun. And that's exactly what Scarlet and Violet was. So mid A tier for me.
No, agreed.
So that's my ranking. Well, what did you think? Any agreements or disagreements? Listen, we're Pokemon fans. You have plenty of both. Be sure to let me know in the comments. I've got a couple more Pokemon videos in the works, so be sure to subscribe if you're interested in that. If you want to see what my old rankings were like and how feral I really was, go up there. Trust me, it's not for the faint of heart. And until next time, there's your lot.